Welcome, everybody. We are the Queens of Poker, Julie and Sandy, and we're here with a very special guest.
Lara Gertzen?
Yes, would you like to read her bio?
I would. Laura is a co-founder of Poker People. They provide dealers and expertise for charity fundraisers like We Spark and corporate team building events in both LA and Las Vegas. You will often find her at a poker table, even when not at work, like most of us. She is an avid player with a few cashes and a reputation for playing Jack 10 in just about any situation. Despite over 2 decades of poker experience, Laura has never played in the main event until this year. Yay! Thanks to a group of backers, she will be joining the nearly 10,000 other poker fans taking their shot.
Yay! This is so exciting. And I was standing next to Lara in a recent tournament, and I reminded her, I think it was the beginning of 2018 when I had just started playing live locally at the Hustler. We were in a tournament together, and she probably changed my poker life, if nothing else, because I was banking a tournament. It was that one tournament I've had, just one so far, where I could not hit the board. Like every hand I played was hitting. I was playing good hands. And then I was like, well, I just can call more hands. I have all the chips. And the other people at the table and at the tournament, who all happened to be men besides Lara and I, were giving me a really hard time. Like, I don't know if you'd call it angle shooting, intimidating, manipulating, telling me I was just getting lucky. I don't know how to play. I should chop at like 15. And just her encouragement helped me to not give up and just stop playing hands. And I have done that before. So I do try not to let what people say at a table affect me. But again, I was new. I'd only played online for years. So thank you, Laura. And she said she had an experience similar. And I'm just so happy that you're doing this show. And I can't wait to hear about your WSOP and all of it. And to be able to thank you for that. And we should be doing that for all people, you guys. If anybody is being sort of messed with their mind, we should all be sticking up for them, because that's poker etiquette and it's karma. It's the right thing to do.
Definitely. Well, thank you guys very much for having me. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you telling me, the impact that my words had, because I don't remember that incident, but I'm really grateful to know that it has resonated, and, the pebble in the pond kind of a theory. One of the things I love about poker is the community, is the fact that anyone can sit equally at the table. And I've been a dealer for 20 plus years. And so I'm really comfortable on the table. And as a player, I consciously advocate for the dealers because they're at work and they're not allowed to say anything. So my tables never get a chance to go off on the dealer. And I think that overflows a little bit. I'm protective not only of the dealers, but of women on the table, or of anyone that just seems like, they may not be 100% sure-footed where they're at. So I try to consciously create that little safe space because it makes the game more enjoyable for me and for everybody at the table too. So I'm happy that it works.
I love that. And you said you had an experience early on, similar,
I
right?
did one of my very first tournaments. We were down to 3 players. It was me and 2 guys, and the same thing. I was getting, hit by the deck or making some good choices here and there. But they basically told me, like, you're new, the money's this, you're never going to beat us, blah, blah. And they talked me into a chop. And I remember that situation. So now, like when you brought up that a similar thing happened and I was there, I'm kind of proud of myself. Like, yes, I did not let that happen to another person at the table. So I'm disappointed that it happened to me, but the fact that it did helped me stop it from happening to someone else. And the fact that we're talking about it here today, hopefully will encourage other women and other allies at the table just to stand up for each other, be human, be better. And I think that goes across the board for poker and life.
Oh, I love that. That is amazing. And if anyone deserves it, you deserve, after all your years of playing, all you do for charities and businesses with your poker people company and setting up these events and now your online events. I think you are the best person to be going to the main event. So we want you to, yeah, we want you to talk about that and how it happened and what you're thinking going into it, how you're
Sure.
preparing. Thanks.
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, I'm one of the co-founders of the Poker People, and so we've been running charity events and corporate events for since 2006. And it was through one of our charity events that I met a couple of people that said, "Hey, we want to have a home game. Would you deal it?" And so I started dealing that game, and that's been 15, 16 years now. And the game has grown, and there's a large group of players that are in it, and several of them play the WSOP. I've played some of the smaller events, and we always just talk about the game and what have you. And it kind of came up really organically. Only a couple of weeks ago, one of the players called me and said, "Hey, do you have a spot for me?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm in Vegas, but I'm on my way home tomorrow." And so we just started talking about Vegas, and he was like, "You should play the main event." And I'm like, "Yeah, then you should give me $10,000 because I." And the next week when the game started, they pulled me aside at the beginning and they said, "How do you feel about if we all pooled and we put you into the main event?" And I thought for about an eighth of a second and said, "Yes, that would be wonderful. Thank you so much. I would love to play the main event." And it's
I
a
love
it's a
that.
good
It's giving
sized
me
game. There's
goosebumps.
probably 50 or so regular players. We run 3 tables, and so there's a good group of folks. So it didn't hurt any of them. They put in anywhere from $100 to $300, and we managed to get all of it together. So they own 65% of me, and I own 35%. And
Wow.
I'm not really nervous about the game because no one put in so much that they have anything really on the line, and they just wanted a ticket to ride, and so it's kind of fun. It's this collective thing. I feel really supported by the poker community that I deal to when I go out and play and talk about the fact that I'm like trying to work on my game a little bit. I get support from the players and the floor and other people that I know in the community, and it's nice. People are like, "Oh, good luck, good job, I hope you can do it." So it's been rewarding thus far. I have friends that are dealing it because our company employs so many dealers. We have a group that's actually out there dealing this summer, and they're excited, and they're already planning to come by and harass me at the table, which I think is great. So
Yeah.
it'll be kind of fun. And I'm just really looking forward to the overall experience of it, to the build up to being part of like your show is fantastic. I love the idea of sharing the journey. I love it. I'm going to put a lot on my social media and just try to be very present in it and share that. And hopefully other people who haven't played the main or haven't ever asked for backers or considered it before or are just nervous about it can see that, this, even with my experience, I'm 100% a rookie when it comes to, 2-hour levels and, 10 hours a day and a 12-day tournament, so I have no expectations, just going to go and try to make the best decisions I can as often as possible.
Wow, this is amazing. And it sounds like your attitude is perfect for it with the no expectations,
I
which
say
is,
that now a week before.
yeah,
Next week I'll
it's,
be like,
yeah, it's
It's gonna
so
be very
hard.
exciting.
Can you
Yeah, it's
tell
very
us,
exciting.
you said you were getting coaching and looking for maybe some guest coaches or like maybe talk about that and who maybe your ideal coaches,
sure.
maybe we could tag them and see if they're willing.
I do have a coach. He's a friend of mine and probably one of the best poker players that I know. He's a dealer. He's a poker correspondent. So he lives and breathes the game, and he's very GTO. He's a chart guy. He's a numbers guy, and I am not. They call us a feel player, which is like, I don't know, Jack 10 seems good here. I'll chase. But I got stopped one time in a mall. I was walking down the walkway there, and someone was coming the other way, and they went, I know you." And I'm like, I stopped, and they go, "You busted my aces in a home game." And I said, "Jack 10?" And he goes, "Yes." I'm like, "Yeah, that's what it was."
That's so
Oops.
great.
But yeah, so I'm getting coaching from him, and I don't think I'm going to learn all of the charts and all that kind of stuff in a week, but everything that, you put in the toolbox helps. And if I can kind of work on ranges and pay a little bit more attention to the math, I'll probably deal with some situations better that I may not have the instinct for. So I've been enjoying that. I'm very lucky in my relationship with running charity poker tournaments. I've had Scott Blumstein, Annie Duke, Jamie Gold, Frank Casella, like so many people play Maria Ho, Tiffany Michelle. Oh, this is just going to keep doing this anyway. But I've been doing this for almost 20 years. I know a lot of pros that support a lot of really good causes, and so I'm not going to lie. I have sent a few text messages out like, hey, Maria, just out of curiosity, what's the best flight for a rookie to play, and that kind of stuff. And so they've been a little generous with their time and helping me out. I'm not asking them for coaching because
Right.
they pay a lot of, get paid a lot of money to do that. And I'm just asking for a favor. But it's nice to know that if I sit down on the table and I'm looking at a pro or I'm looking at Jamie Gold or whatever, he's probably not going to kill me that quickly. Maybe, I don't know. He might let me live. But I need a little defense against the dark arts training from them. When you sit down at the table, how do you plan to take me out? And how can I stop that?
Yeah, that sounds
Right.
amazing. It sounds like you're more ready than most of us would be, or you have a plan for it.
I have a plan. I feel a little bit confident in the space, in the environment. I've played the World Series for many, many years, smaller events. I've been around poker a long time, but I don't think that should be a barrier for anyone else either. It's good to get out of your comfort zone a little bit. So even though I'm comfortable in poker, I'm not really comfortable in the main event. I mean, that's pretty serious stuff. So I'll definitely have some butterflies. I remember the first time I ever played a World Series event, I didn't sleep the night before. I didn't eat. I had a migraine. It was back in the day where they let the photographers come around and they took a picture of everyone at the table and then they tried to sell it to you later. And my picture was like, it's hilarious.
I hope you bought it.
Yeah, I did. I don't know where it is anymore, but it was just
You
like,
have it for posterity.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
right.
And then the one, 6-7 years later, I've got like a teddy bear with me on the table and I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. So, when you do things that take you out of your comfort zone, you get comfortable with them and you grow as a player and a person. And I advocate for anybody to just take a chance. I mean, what's the worst case scenario? You bust out. Okay, whatever. You probably learned something.
I think it's
Totally.
one of the best games in the world. I would love to ask how you actually started playing poker, if you don't mind telling.
Oh, no, I don't mind at all. I was in the medical field for a long time. I drove an ambulance and I worked in the emergency department at Children's Hospital. So I was used to a lot of high pressure situations and strategic thinking and operating, with, trying to diagnose things. And I wanted to go to nursing school. And I ended up injuring my wrist really badly. And I lost a lot of the grip strength and I damaged tendons and stuff, and I couldn't do CPR.
Oof.
And tried for probably on and off for a year to recover, and it couldn't get that back. So I ended up not being able to work anymore in that industry at all. Like you can't work at a desk in a hospital if you can't do CPR.
Right.
And so during the time that I was on and off, my arm was in a cast 2 or 3 times. My roommate at the time, he had a home game, and it was a 7-card stud poker league. And so
What a way to begin.
I know. So I was bored. I'm like, teach me how to play poker. I'm like, you guys seem like you're having a good time. And so thank you, Stephen. You started all of this. That's credit. But yeah, so he taught me how to play. They do 7-card stud. They did some draw games, some high-low split games and stuff. So my roots are in the mixed games and in the variety pack that you get when you play dealer's choice. So it kind of organically grew out of that, 10-cent minimum bet home game kind of stuff. And that was before the poker boom, before Moneymaker and where everybody was playing Hold'em. So I was happy to transition to Hold'em. And that's about the same time I started getting more comfortable in the casino games. And then I realized that my medical background was no longer an option for me. And I was playing a lot. And the only seat at the table that always made money was the dealer.
That's true.
And
Wow.
so I decided,
Right.
okay, I'm going to become a poker dealer. I remember sitting with my friend Steven in a booth at on Flamingo at Blueberry Hill in Las Vegas after one of our trips. I said, you know what, I'm going to go to dealer school. That would be cool. And I did, and ended up really enjoying it, dealing in the casinos, dealing at Hollywood Park, and
Wow.
you can deal anywhere if you can deal at Hollywood Park.
That was
Guys are
so
rough.
true.
Yeah, our last
That's so true.
episode, our episode before this that went up yesterday was with Johnny from Hollywood Park, and he said the same thing. He was playing all the time, so he's like, I may as well make some money.
Exactly.
funny.
And I think dealing has really, really improved my game, because once you're over the learning curve of learning to deal and the mechanics and running the game and stuff, I would literally pick one player and I would watch them for my entire down. And I would try to put them on hands. I would try to read them, try to look at their betting patterns and that kind of stuff. And once I worked there for a while, I was really able to kind of refine some of the skills. So I got to sit at the table and do the things that you should do as a player without being distracted by actually playing.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
a good way to
people
learn.
that's so true because people are a creature of habit and you can start to see what people play, especially if you see them more and more. So that
Mhm.
does make sense.
Sandy
Yeah.
deals. Sandy deals. Sometimes I could barely keep up with what I'm doing at the table and watching the other players. I watch the dealers and I'm like, wow, this person really is situationally aware, very coordinated. They can multitask. Like
Mhm.
you and some of those dealers, English is their second language. Like I don't know
Yeah.
how they can keep on it, but I guess that's the best training. I don't like playing against dealers because they're too good. Most of
Yeah, dealers who are also players are, in my experience, the best dealers
Mm,
because they have the full situational awareness. If
Right.
you're just trained to deal, sometimes you don't realize that a lot of poker takes place in the quiet parts, in that nuance in between where people are thinking about their decisions. And if you're just a dealer who knows that you called this and the next person is here and you're just going through the motions,
mhm.
you don't necessarily understand that that player knows it's their turn. You
Right.
realize they're facing a tough decision and you give them the space to do that. So a lot of our dealers that work for the poker people are also players and they're friends of mine. I have a game room out back. We host home games. We do a big barbecue every year for all of
That's
the
awesome.
dealers. That Pamela, my co-owner, and she lives in Las Vegas. She runs the Las Vegas office. I run LA. But so she'll come out and all of our staff will get together and we have a big poker tournament. And it's hilarious because it's a $20 buy-in tournament with rebuys and our prize pool will be like over $1,000. Like you degenerates.
Yeah, because
I
of all
love
the
you.
reentries.
You're my people.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm part of a Moose Lodge where they have we have a poker group, and one night out of the month, they'll do a $40 buy-in, and it's like unlimited reentries until the break. So if the price pool goes up, and I'm like, thank you for your donation. I love it. So
Exactly.
it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
And
never won the game at my house though. I'm always doing other things.
oh, you're
Because you're
People
hosting.
because you're
flying from
doing
the
10
other
things.
room. They're like, it's on you,
Yeah.
it's been raised. I'm like, I call.
It's so hard to run a tournament and play because you're doing 10 different things. You can't really look at your cards. You're doing this, you're doing that. So I totally understand.
Yeah, it still
How,
works though. It's a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
how did you go from dealing to now I have to know your the poker people business that you have?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Great question. Thank you. I I'm always been kind of a teacher and I was always the trainer when I drove the ambulance. I was a field training officer. I was kind of the person that trained when I worked in the ER and stuff. And it just came really naturally to me. And I thought I could open a dealer training school because I think
Great.
dealing is a good job.
Mhm.
And if they can be good at their job, they can make really good money. And so I thought I'll open a school and I'll have a little retail store with it. The people can come and buy poker chips and then I'll train the dealers. And so I thought that would be a great job. And I did that at the corner of National and Sepulveda in West LA. I called it West LA Poker Dealer Training Academy because I don't know, you didn't have to pay by the line, I guess, for the name. But so I started training dealers and I realized fairly quickly something I was not expecting, but I can size up someone to be a good dealer in about 5 seconds, if maybe a little longer than that, but and whatever your industry is, who's good at what you do. And you look at someone and you go, yeah, they don't have it.
Right.
I would look at someone and think, yeah, they don't really have this, but I have to pay the rent on this space and I have to pay bills. And so I have to take them on as a student
Mhm.
and invest my time and get them to a skill level that I can say, all right, go to the casino and get this job. And they'll get the job and they'll hate it
Mm.
and they'll quit in a month because it's just not really for them. So I kind of came up with a bit more of a moral conundrum than I realized. But it was also getting to be closer to Thanksgiving. And there are a lot of corporate Christmas parties and stuff that happen every year. And what most people don't realize is those corporates get booked in August and July. because there's so much demand. And so these companies were calling with the new assistant this year who didn't know they had to book the Christmas party for the first Saturday in December in July, calling every company in the book and getting no, sold out, sold out. And they get down to the W's, West LA Poker, and they would call and they go, hey, can you please do this party? And I would look out at a table full of dealers and be like, I don't know, you guys want to go to a party? And they'd say,
That's
sure.
awesome.
And so I'm like, yeah, we're available. And they would say, how much is it? You know, how much is it for a blackjack table? And I'd Google how much is a blackjack table because I want to buy one. And so we started as sort of a party event company morphing out of the school. And for me, it was a real eye opener. I loved it because I don't get stressed out at other people's parties because of my medical background. No one's going to die. It's just a party.
Right.
So the caterer is 10 minutes late, whatever. And so I came in with just a really good attitude and a really good team, and we would have a really nice time. And I could see those results that night with the players, with the clients, and I got hooked on it. I really, really like it. And then once we started working with charities, and I realized the power that there is to have poker as a fundraising mechanism, Pamela, my business partner, she came on a little bit later, but we decided to team up and become the poker people instead of West LA Poker Dealer again. And she picked a great name, 100%. So and she's a fantastic business partner as well. So it really balances me in areas that I'm weak. She's super strong. And so we combined and said, let's just do poker and let's focus on the charities and the team building aspects. And it's been a fantastic run because we did the math and we've helped raise like over $20 million for a variety of nonprofits in the last, 15, 18 years now. So I could never affect that kind of change if I started my own nonprofit or if I donated to everybody every penny I ever had, but I get to donate my skills and I have a fantastic team of dealers and we've just got a great system and we can just, I don't know, it's a ton of fun. And also because so many women will support charities and so many women, are afraid of poker in the corporate world, it really helps push that narrative forward as well because they can sit at the table, they can take poker lessons, they're protected because they're none of those dumb boys like the casinos because we just don't let it happen.
Right.
And they get a chance to get their feet wet and learn it, especially in the charities. They can support it. It's about community building. And then when you go into the corporate world, there's so much business in poker overlap. You're making decisions on incomplete information, you're managing a budget, you're maintaining emotional control, you're reading people, you're adjusting to the market, all that stuff. Those are business skills and poker skills. So it's fantastic to see women in the corporate world going, I can do this. This is what I do all day. And that position's been great.
I'm thrilled to hear that you're a female-run company and the attitude that you bring to it. I love it. It's wonderful.
It's been a blast. I wake up every morning excited to go to work, which is pretty good because I've been doing it for 18 years and I'm usually have a pretty short attention span. So it's been nice.
I love that. It was bred out of a need that you saw and you filled it. And I love that the moral quandary. I've had something similar. I'm a nutritionist, but I started as wanting to be a child psychiatrist. And there was a moral quandary about the way they were feeding kids and treating in that world at the time. So, and it did lead me to a job that I love. And then this podcast is more like a hobby for me. Sandy owns her own business too. I just love that we're all women who are listening to that moral compass and not running on the shoulds or what other people think we should be doing. And that 20 million, wow, that's amazing. So and I can't think of a more fun fundraiser. Like I'm always going to do those when I have the option because I love poker and I like fundraising. I like charity. Like, we need more of that. And we need more, we need that to be amplified in the world that we have that for women in business. It's perfect timing too. We're having kind of like a poker boom for women. I think right now we've got battles on Twitter about why are women not as good at poker, and mostly a few men saying that when most of the men respect us, want us there. Why would they not want more players, right? So and I think the more we support each other and put support our businesses, whether they're poker related or not, and support like a safe, nice energy environment for poker versus casino, degen, drunk. Like there's just, and it's interesting what people say. Like my accountant, I was trying to explain, like my husband and I have our own business. I was trying to explain poker winnings and losses and crypto winnings and losses. And he stopped and looked at me. This was a couple of years ago. He goes, "Why are you gambling?" And it's like, yeah, you can't you can't really explain it to anybody. It's a hobby, it's a sport. It's not like I'm going and putting it all on roulette, right?
Yes.
Like, um,
I don't consider poker gambling. Or tournament playing gambling. I consider it a skill and a competition because we're trying to beat everybody out, right? And when people say it's gambling, it really upsets me because we're really working hard at it to be number one. It's not, we're not gambling our money, we put money into it, but we're trying to be the best. And that's what I love about it.
People ask me quite a bit, is it a skill game or do you just get lucky? And my answer to them is it's both, in that the skill part is the chips. I make the decision about when my chips go in the pot, how many of them, what my ROI is, what my exposure, and everything else. So all the things that have to do with chips are skill. The cards are luck. I don't have control over the cards.
Correct.
And that I think is a great differential because you can tell people the same thing for any business. What you choose to invest in, what you choose to build as a product, your image in poker, whatever, that's skill. How the market responds, what the world does around you, that's luck. You're out things you don't have any control over. But I agree with you. I think it's primarily a skill game, and you can see that in the results of the top players in the world continuously rising to the top. Rounders said, "Why do the same 5 guys make the final table World Series of Poker every year?" It's a skill game. But I've seen that movie like 100 times. I could do the
I
entire.
think we all have.
Life,
I think we all have. I actually have a question for you. Since you've been playing for such a long time, I was curious where you stand on why there's still only 5% of women in the field.
I don't have a clear answer for it, but I think it's really just a reflection of women's engagement overall in the country. And I think the more people become engaged because they choose a side politically, or the more they become aware of poker as a skill game because there are more women in business, I think we're trending in the right direction for sure. And I also really believe that representation matters. As a kid, I never saw any gay people on TV until, like Ellen. And I thought, oh, I could do that. And when I first started the company, I would mention that I was married, but I would never elaborate on it. And now I'll very comfortably say, oh yeah, my wife and I are going to do this or what have you. And I don't have a problem with it. And if someone does, it's theirs. But that was a real conscious decision for me. And I think the more that I represent on the table and the more other women represent on the table, the more we're seen and the safer it becomes for those that follow us. The We Spark event that Julie's cousin.
That was a lot of women.
There were 5 women on the final table of that event.
was
There were
incredible.
260 some players in that charity event. A good chunk of them were women, which is great. It's Jason Alexander's event. He fosters a really, really open, vibe to the event. He invites a lot of people, a lot of celebrities. So it's very, there's no stigmas to it. It's a very easy to jump into event. And I loved seeing that there were 5 women on the final table. It was fantastic. And they've been promoting that as well in their social media and stuff. And I think they'll have even more women next year. Charity poker, corporate poker is a great way to kind of break through those first initial fears and understand that the game is not that scary. And I feel like poker is kind of coming out of that smoky backroom hoodie and sunglasses, vibe, and being more front and center. And you see players like Maria Ho is fantastic. She's, she final tabled the horse event this year. She's been, commentating. She's a great representation of the game out there. I love her to death. And there's just more and more women that are out there that are not novelties anymore. It's not just Barbara Enright's the only person that's ever made the final table, which is true technically for the main. And she plays a lot of charity stuff. She was at We Spark. I go and kiss the ring every time I see her because I just appreciate everything she's done for the game. but I'm happy to follow in her footsteps, and I'm happy to keep pushing it forward and for more women to come behind us.
Well, we're
How
really
many women,
thrilled and hope to make it
sorry,
happen.
how many women were at that with the one with the five at the final team?
Um,
Was there more women than men or?
No, it was definitely still very male heavy of a field. I would say,
Wow.
I think maybe 20% were women. I think more than what you
Yeah,
find in a
lots.
local casino. And then, charity poker, due to the laws in California, it's a sort of a finite timeline we're allowed to be, execute the event in and stuff too. So I think that lends itself to protecting the rookies a little bit more, because you just kind of have to gamble it up a little bit here and there. And it's not necessarily super long structures where the pros can wait out, blah, blah, blah. You got to mix it up a little bit at a charity tournament. And that's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
Poker's
A
just
lot of
community building. I love
people,
that.
yeah, a lot of people at my table had never played poker before. They're celebrities. They're there to donate money and have fun. So it was really, really interesting trying to shift your mindset that you're not playing with professionals. You're just playing
Mhm.
for fun.
I
And
had
It's great.
it was a Boys and Girls Club event, I believe, a few years back. And this woman made the final table. She was getting hit by the deck. It was great. But she made the final table and she ended up heads up. And the guy she sat down with against heads up was an online player, a regular casino player, whatever. And the first thing he did was like 2.5 times off the small blind or whatever. And she spent the whole event with a cheat sheet in front of her and would go, call,
yes,
yeah, call. And
yes.
she did that twice, and the
That's
guy
so
took off
great.
his sunglasses, ordered a cocktail. He's like, I got no shots. She's not putting me on a hand. There's no reads. There's nothing. Let's just play this out. And he would make a flush. She would make a straight flush. And he was like,
Ah,
yep, give her the chips, and he was fantastic about losing. But it was really funny to see the recognition come across his face of like, oh no, you're not in a casino. You're
Yeah,
not in
this
your
is
home game.
totally different. Yeah,
But
for
yeah, she
sure. I
just
love that.
call is the one. Yep, call is the one. Here's your straight flush.
this is the
But,
best. That is
yeah.
the best. I guess I was assuming that from the charity events I've been at, they've been mostly women, but maybe because they were like fashion or healthcare. So yours are still mostly men,
It's still
correct?
predominantly men that attend, but it's predominantly women that organize.
Right.
And
Okay.
so
Volunteer.
our first hurdle that we deal with when working with a new nonprofit is educating the women that are running the event, because the vast majority of these events are female led, that poker isn't scary, that poker is accessible. So we teach them how the game works as a fundraising device and all of the positives, and we sort of make them into the mouthpiece for going out to their group of people and saying, hey, come and play this. We do lessons for, a half an hour before the tournament starts. We have cheat sheets that everybody can have.
Um,
And this is for our corporates too, because same messaging, same, scary thing that we
mhm.
need to overcome. And at this point, I have regulars that come to multiple charity events just because they heard about it on our Instagram. It's not even a charity that they would have supported otherwise, but they know what charity poker is and how much fun it is. So they'll go to other things. So we're seeing crossover. We're seeing, just an organic growth in the number of women playing the game. And I think a lot of them do start in charity poker. So it's nice to see the
That's
results.
awesome.
That's amazing. So do you have an email list or because I would like to know about the opportunities for the charity tournaments that are here in LA.
Yeah, we do. So I haven't been all that great about it coming out of COVID.
Mhm.
During COVID, we actually created a virtual team building. We have our own platform. It still has live
Great.
viewers with the game. So we've been doing that for the last few years as well. But um,
Brilliant.
so we have a charity calendar page on our website that has all of our upcoming events, and then we promote all of them on our social media as well. So you don't have to wait for an email from me with what's upcoming. You can check in real time and stuff. It's not updated. Don't go to it right now. Um,
Okay. I wasn't. I was looking at the
Uh,
Instagram. You guys can go to
sure.
Instagram, the
Yeah,
poker
it's
people.
the poker people. Yeah, be sure to put the in front of it. But yeah, the poker people on Instagram and on Facebook. And yeah, we're not on X. It's just a
And
like Elon Musk thing.
That's okay.
shout out.
Whatever.
So that was the Jason Alexander tournament in the Valley that did you put that on? You
Yeah,
did,
so the
right?
Jason
Okay.
Alexander about for
Yeah.
We Spark we just did. There'll be some video coming up. We try to take video at our different events. We have the next video you'll see is from Make-A-Wish Foundation. That was a couple weeks ago. Prior to that, there's a video up there, I think now from City of Hope. Folded Flag will be up there soon as well. We do tend to get quiet in the summertime because most charity events don't take place when the kids are out of school.
Oh, good to
Plus,
know.
for us poker players, you know how
WS.
it is. It's summer, you must turn
Yeah.
east and walk out into the
Yeah.
desert.
And go to the
Vegas.
120-degree heat. Yeah.
Yeah,
You can
I'm actually out there
also,
for 4th of July this year. I've never been there for 4th of July. I'm kind of looking
oh,
for
that'll be
fireworks,
fun.
but I'm gonna just melt in the heat.
I've been there.
Yeah,
You stay
like 120
inside,
degrees.
get a good window of the strip and stay inside and watch
I
the
like it.
fireworks.
I like
Yeah,
it. It's a good idea.
it's me.
Speaking of the World Series and being in Vegas, what flight are you going to start with? I'm curious how people decide which flight they want to use.
I go back and forth on it a couple of different times. I've had some folks that are actually going to buy straight into day 2 because you still have 70 big blinds at that point. But I really want the whole experience. I want to be there firsthand of Shuffle Up and Deal on day 1. I've also never played, 600 bigs deep. So that's going to be kind of cool. Try not to, spew it off on the first day.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to play Friday the 5th. I have been told that the Saturday is actually the softest field, but I was told that by a pro, and I think that it's the softest field for them to go and pick up as many rec players as they possibly can to wipe them out. So I'm kind of doing an avoid the pro version of day 1 for me. Right. So I'm going to play on Friday the 5th. It may or may not be the right choice, but I'm going to give it a shot.
Awesome. Is that the third flight, the fourth flight?
That'll be the third flight. Yeah, the third of 4. So
third flight. So, and if you can, I want you to focus on your game, of course, but if you have your person there, you can get some video or some shots to show the other ladies like what it's been like for you, what the experience is, anything, that would be great. We're happy to check back after or jump on live or however you want to do that.
I'll keep you posted for sure. My plan is to basically in the next couple of days start loading up our Instagram and just being like, hey guys, this is what I'm doing, this is how I'm prepping, I'm going to mention this amazing podcast and my experience today, this has been awesome. And then when I go out to Vegas, I actually plan on trying to catch up with some of the pros that I know and ask them for their advice, see if they'll do something on camera, and then just grab different folks that are playing and say, hey, what do you think of the game, and try to build up a little bit more of a fully rounded experience, and then also doing my own updates and stuff if anybody is curious as to my progress. Hopefully
we are
day 1 to day 2 to day 3.
To day 4 to day 5
to the win.
11 and 13 So how are you prepping? Have you been prepping for like doing multi-day tournaments? Because it's such a long term. I love multi-day tournaments and I love the 30-minute blinds. Levels or whatever, but it can be really daunting. And I played Sunday night at the Hollywood Park. It was 30-minute levels, and I made it. I was so close, 8 hours, 8 freaking hours, and I got knocked out. But how are you preparing to do that? Are you like exercising? Are you doing mental stuff like meditating?
All of the above, really. So on the game side, I've been doing the coaching stuff, and that's been a lot of fun. I was playing a little bit more here, and it was kind of funny. I went to Lady Luck the other night and I played
Lucky Lady.
Very specifically, lucky. Yeah.
I like your way better.
There is a Lady Luck, but it's 300 miles away. So
okay,
there is one.
Lucky Lady.
Yeah.
So I was playing one of the events or the Monday night game or whatever it was, and I was there very specifically to 3-bet. It's not something I do a lot to 3-bet, 4-bet. And so that was the skill set I wanted to work on, was to not be afraid to do that. And I can not be afraid to do that for an $80 tournament and not worry about it.
For sure.
And it was funny because one guy at the game said to me, it didn't work out or whatever. And he was like, you really shouldn't do that with that hand. And I said something about like, yeah, that's not the reason I'm here. Like, whatever it was. But it was like, it was fun I wasn't there trying to win. I was there to practice 3-betting, and it didn't have to be the right situation. I just wanted to get over the hurdle. But for the overall thing, for planning that length of time, I actually did put myself on a routine. I get up at the same time. I've set up like a bedtime routine of, you take the melatonin and you have the tea and the no screens and all that kind of stuff, and walking in the evening and working out at certain times and
Great.
monitoring my diet. And I don't do a lot of caffeine. I cut out sugars, and sodas, like before COVID. And so
Awesome.
try
Yeah.
really hard to not spike,
Yeah.
over
The blood
course of
sugar.
the day.
Yeah, so you don't
And
crash for
I have a
sure.
friend that's going to come out with me as well. And so I know that I've got somebody there. If I say, hey, I need,
Food.
go get me a
Yeah.
banana, or
Mhm.
whatever. And I'm staying at Pamela, my co-owner. She lives in Las Vegas. So I have her house to myself
Nice.
beforehand, but then I also got a room on the strip for
Smart.
after the event, so that, or for after
So
the
you
end
don't
of
have
day
to
one.
drive or
I'm not
get
going anywhere. I'm
stressed.
not parking twice.
Yes.
I want to go to my room on
Yes.
dinner break and just chill, take a shower, whatever. I can do
Yes.
those things. So I'm trying to
Wonderful.
set the bumpers up as best I can to minimize my outside of poker decisions.
Awesome. I have a little bit of nutrition advice. I'm working on a
Yeah.
video for this also. So when you get there, if you can, I would go to like Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, and I try to get hotels where I have at least a mini fridge. So the Encore does this. There's a few places with kitchens, Vidara, I think, and then buy like the quick salads, protein, things that I can put in my little, in Vegas, it has to be a coolered bag. Here it can be a
Mhm.
backpack to
Yeah,
just
sure.
take with you, even if you don't eat it. It's so better to have it than to be shaky at WPT. The
Mhm.
snack place was closed. There was literally nothing I could get. And I was like having like a hangry meltdown, right? So
I can't
being
pay
prepared.
those WSOP
The
kitchen. Oh
prices,
my God.
and also if you
Yeah.
order from your room at night because you haven't eaten in like 8 hours
It's
or
crazy too. Yeah.
that's insane. So I think going to Whole Foods, even though that's not cheap, or Trader Joe's is not bad, and having things there that
Mhm.
you
It's
can
cheaper
take,
than
yeah,
buying it at the hotel at the World Series.
way
It's 100
True.
times cheaper and it's healthy.
healthier. Yeah.
Bananas, 100%. I take a banana anytime I go play a tournament because I know
Mhm.
some places
But
don't have them.
also take some almonds or some walnuts, because just the
Yeah.
sugar in a banana, I've worn the CGMs and I test my sugar a lot because of the autoimmune stuff.